property was purchased in 1928 by Rose and Joseph Kennedy, and they've added to it over the years, obviously. But that's the when you see all those newsreels of the family playing touch football and tents set up for family gatherings, including weddings. That's the location where all of that took place. Rose Kennedy lived there until she passed away in 1995 at the age of 104. After she died, the home became the property of her son Ted, and Senator Ted Kennedy lived there as his primary residence until he passed away in August of 2009. After he passed away, keeping with Rose's wishes that the home eventually be used for educational purposes, it was donated to the Edward M. Kennedy Institute for the U.S. Senate. This is a nonprofit organization located in Boston, and their mission is to teach people about the workings of the U.S. government. The Institute now uses the home for seminars and retreats. Now, focus on that main home. Look to the right of that, you see a green space, and then a home that sits back from the beach. The distinguishing feature here is a white chimney on the left side. That was the home of the late President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. John Kennedy purchased that house in 1955 when he was a senator, but when he became president, he could not use it as the summer White House for security reasons. In just a few minutes, I'll tell you which homes he did use. When President Kennedy died, the home became the property of his daughter Caroline. It was eventually sold to Ted Kennedy, and when he passed away, it became the property of its current owner, Ted Kennedy Jr. Now, if you go back to the original home with the three peaks, look immediately to the left. It almost looks like a fourth peak. It's a separate home right next door. That would be the home of the late senator from New York, Robert F. Kennedy. Robert Kennedy's widow, Ethel, still lives in that home, and she and her family are often seen sailing in these waters in the summertime. So it's these three homes, the original home, the President's home to the right, Robert Kennedy's home to the left. These three homes make up what is commonly called the Kennedy compound. 3 homes on 6 acres of residential property in the neighborhood of Hyannisport. And there are no significant walls or fences that really separate them from their neighbors.
All right, so anyway, we're just out here at Hyannisport, a lovely day to view the sites and points of interest. Most people are interested in learning about what's commonly called the Kennedy compound and other properties and other things of interest out here. But from a personal point of view, I tell people that I live 3 miles and several $1 million from the Kennedy. So I live in West Hyannisport, a very modest but very comfortable neighborhood. What we do, we spend time over in Hyannisport, especially around the holidays, 4th of July. They have a very, I call it just a little piece of Americana. They have this 4th of July parade there. It lasts all of 8 minutes. There's a little brass band on the back of a truck, the antique cars. The kids will decorate their bicycles and their wagons. And it's just kind of the beginning of the summer season for the neighborhood. And you see all the neighbors greeting each other. And the Kennedys are right in there among all the other folks. Ethel is famous for driving her golf cart around during that time.
She's still driving her golf cart?
Well, we had to work this 4th of July, so I wasn't able to go over there, but I'm not sure about that. But I know as of last year, well, COVID, not during COVID, but the year before, I did see her there. And as I said, other members of the family are very much part of the fabric of the neighborhood over there. I will say something about these sailboats. A lot of these sailboats never move. I mean, they're more of a status symbol than actually something functioning. The Kennedys love to sail. I mean, they're out here several times. The windier the better. They really enjoy sailing. They take a lot of takes a lot of skill. They all have very skillful sailors, and they obviously enjoy it very much. The other thing I'll say is that although the family's not as politically prominent as it once was, I mean, I think many of them are still very socially active, participating in a lot of charity-type events or social service type activities, and so they still have that consciousness, and it's still a very fascinating family. Even after all these years, people still want to come out and hear about where they lived and sort of revisit a little bit of Camelot as it was once known. So yeah, so my mother-in-law, I'll tell this story. My mother-in-law was sort of a Kennedy file, if you will. I think she had every book that was published she would try to attend any of the public events that they were present at. They happened to go to the same church that we did at that time. And I remember one day we went in church, and I have to explain, she's only about, not each, she'd have to reach up to touch 5 feet, so she was a real little lady. So we were in
Was that
church.
the Xavier Church in downtown Hyannis?
No, actually, it was in the summertime. It was Our Lady of Victory Church, which is another Catholic church that they also attend, especially in the summer when it gets busy down here. So we took our seats at the service, and the seats behind us were not filled. But about 5 minutes into the mass, a group came in and sat behind us. And at some point in Catholic Mass is an opportunity to give the sign of peace. You shake the person's hand close to you. She turned around and shook the person's hand behind her and gave her the sign of peace. And then turned back and continued with the Mass. So afterwards I said, Dolly, that's her name, Dora. I said, isn't that wonderful that you got to shake Ted Kennedy's hand? And she goes, what? Again, he was a lot taller, and she just didn't take it. And I said, that's lesson number 1. Always make eye contact. You know. And so she learned a lesson from that. But that ruined her day. I'm sorry to say. She got over it, but that was kind of a funny story. We always kidded her about that for the rest of her life. But anyway, I'm happy to share some of these anecdotes with you, and I enjoy being out here on the water, meet a lot of interesting people, and.
Well, you know, these anecdotal stories are priceless.
Yes.
It's history that hopefully we can capture with a little, capture for posterity's sake, you know?
Right. Well, thank you for the opportunity to talk.
Well, thank you for sharing the story.
Okay.